Have you ever freaked out over a pimple, a boil, or maybe a cold sore?
I got a big pimple.
What if I told you that red spot is something even worse?
That's no pimple, Michael.
You might have herpes.
This can't be. This is a mistake.
How did you get it? When should you see a doctor? How long will it last? This is Your Body on herpes. Herpes is a sexually transmitted virus that causes blistering around the mouth or genitals. Up to 90% of those infected are asymptomatic and don't even know they have it.
Have what?
So if you're going on a kissing spree, you might want to get yourself checked out. How common are infections? And what happens if you get it down there? Types of herpes. There are two variants to look out for: oral herpes, HSV1, and genital herpes, HSV2. As the name suggests, HSV1 is transmitted from the mouth, while HSV2 is spread from your special parts. Keep in mind, oral herpes can cause genital herpes and vice versa, in case you're feeling adventurous. So if you have any reason to think that your partner is one of the approximately 4.1 billion people worldwide who currently have an HSV infection, you better stick to only blowing kisses. Your first infection will typically last anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. Yep, sorry about that summer vacation you've been planning. Those painful blisters will flare up from time to time, but how frequently depends on your immune system. If you're stressed out, getting too much sun, or on your period, these can all be triggers. So think happy thoughts.
How do you feel?
Better.
If you start to feel a tingling, itching, or burning sensation, you may be on the verge of a flare-up. If it's HSV2, you might also suffer fevers or shooting pains in your legs, hips, and bum. In other words, it's a real pain in the ass. But how could this have happened? You've been so careful. Transmission. HSV1 is transmitted from contact with the virus in sores, saliva, or surfaces in and around the mouth. This isn't only from locking lips. You could catch it from the saliva involved in sharing food and drinks. It could possibly even be passed on to you from popping peas. Whoa, easy there, buddy. HSV2 can be spread during sex from contact with skin, sores, or fluids from your infected partner. Condoms can help reduce the risk of spreading, but the only surefire way to steer clear is abstinence.
A chastity belt?
I think I'd rather take my chances. You just have to be careful and look for the signs. The risk of infection is at its highest while your partner has active sores. So if you're thinking about taking your relationship to the next stage,
I want to be dirty.
just make sure everyone's tests came back clean.
And cough, please.
In rare cases, HSV can be passed on to a child by their mother. This can lead to neurological disabilities such as cerebral palsy and even death. So what now? You feel a flare-up coming on.
Well, I'll be damned.
How can you manage the symptoms? Treatment. If painful blisters or sores start forming, consult your doctor. The condition can be diagnosed with a swab test or a blood sample. Although there is no cure, several vaccines are currently being studied. For now, antiviral medications can be effective in reducing the severity and frequency of symptoms. However, side effects of the medication include headache, dizziness, fatigue, depression, nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, joint pain, menstrual pain, skin rash, stuffy nose, and sore throat.
Antiviral medications.
Still better than the blistering pain. Even when you don't have active symptoms, topical or oral medications can reduce the risk of passing it along. Living with herpes can be uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be so stigmatized. Infections are very common and symptoms can be manageable. But how do you manage the symptoms of COVID-19? We'll find out on another episode of Your Body On.